Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin board heroes here at Zak's Traders Cafe for the 23rd of September. Starting off with, which is still crawling along the floor of that rising trend channel, which has been in place since back in June. The floor of the channel currently around 92.20, which is nice. And get through that 92.50 area on an end of day close basis. We're looking at the highs again, 93.57. And obviously the top of the channel there as high as 95.30 by the end of next month. At this stage, not expecting any rug pull to go lower than the 50-day line or to go around the 50-day line, currently 91.62. Indeed, only an end of day close back below that would suggest there was something awry. We had to head back down towards the 9,000 area. Next on the list is the DAX, which continues to do nothing but to do it in a rather sort of random kind of way. We're just trading either side of the floor of that channel there. I suppose you could argue that it's there rather than where I'd drawn it before, but we're between the floor of the channel, 23,400, and the 50-day line there at 24,000. Looking for an end of day close outside those two parameters. On the downside, that would be 22,700, and the 200-day moving average, and obviously on the upside, the 50-day line. Waiting for the RSI now at 46 to get back above neutral 50. That, combined with the break of the 50-day line, could be a sign that we're ready to finally head up to the top of that channel there from April, as high as 25,800 by the end of next month. Looking at the Dow, and here making slow progress, but steady progress. We've got these RSI rebounds towards the 55 level rather than the 50 level, which is a positive, and looking at the top of the channel, 47,700 by the end of next month or even sooner. Ideally, now we stay on the right side of 45,000 and the 50-day moving average at that level almost exactly as well. Next up are the two cryptos, and first one is the two cryptos we look at. First one is Bitcoin, which is just bouncing off the floor of that rising trend channel there from the beginning of March. The level there around 111. Above that, we're still hoping for a break of 118 to take us up to the top of the channel there as high as 133 by the end of next month. On the downside, the risk is now that we have to test the 200-day line for the first time since back in April. That's currently at 103. Ethereum is next, and here perhaps the biggest disappointment of the near term. That has been the way that it's fallen out of its or the rising trend channel there, and also fallen below the 50-day line, 43.87. We're so far finding support at last month's support area around the 40.60 area, but still disappointing that we've actually had that rug pull, which we were not really looking for. At the moment, still the risk of a test of the old July resistance towards 39.30 before we then resolve to the upside. Still looking for the possibility of 5,500 by the end of next month as a best case scenario target, although given the latest price action, one would probably have to flatten the upside there to at least what I'm drawing at the moment, which would be a more shallow trend channel, and the floor of the channel there currently towards the 39.30 area. But the top of that channel is still heading for 53, which wouldn't be shabby compared to where we are at the moment. We are cautious. You wait for an end of day close of the RSI back above neutral 50 versus 40 at the moment. Moving on to gold, which has been above the clouds in terms of the upside it's been delivering. We're looking for the top of the channel there, 38.50 by the end of next month. The way things are going, could even get there by the end of this month, especially while we remain on the right side of the recent peak there towards 37.20 rather. So hopefully we can get that kind of strength in the price action. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with the stock of the day, which is currently Ascent Resources. A nice tease on the Slovenian arbitration outcome, and you can see that we already had bullish divergence going into today's announcement. We've broken the 50-day line there at 0.35 for the first time since February, and above that, looking actually for resistance on the way down. The initial resistance here was the last peak in June, which was 0.55. Above that There's nothing between 0.55 and zero point 0.8, so quite exciting in terms of Ascent at the moment. You've got that resistance line there at 0.43, so probably we'd be happy if we can close above that by the end of today's session. Moving on to Cadence, who's been championed here on several occasions in the recent past, and here you will be able to see why. If I can type in the right code, here you can see that we've hit our second target there at 4 pence. Above that, we've been looking for up to 6 pence, and hopefully we'll get that by the end of next month or even sooner. I haven't looked at Challenger for a long time, and here situation is that we've got the shares in a rising trend channel that's been in place since June last year. Top of the channel heading for 13 pence, which we're looking for by the end of next month. We're also in the run up to a golden cross between the 50 and 200-day lines. That tends to be the strongest part of the cycle, and it looks as though that is kicking in, and we are feeling confident about 13 while we're above 8.4 pence, which has been recent broken resistance. GB Group gets a rare mention here as well, and the reason for that is it looks as though there's a bit of bottoming out happening here. Effectively an RSI 50 rebound and a bounce off the 50-day line, so looking for £2.50 by the end of next month at least, maybe even by the end of this month while we remain above that 50-day moving average at £2.24. Good to see Gunsynd making moves at the moment. We've got the rising 50 and 200-day lines, but multiple RSI rebounds above neutral 50, which is actually a relatively new signal that we've added into the mix here. Normally it's just the RSI being above 50 or bouncing at 50, but multiple RSI rebounds, and looking for 0.21 by the end of next month as a minimum on the upside, while we're above the 50-day line at 0.12. On to the last two. The first one is a stock which doesn't have much charting material, but enough charting material to suggest that we are in a rising trend channel with switch metals. The top of the channel there up to 12.3 pence, looking for that over the next couple of weeks while we're above the 200-day moving average at 9.2 pence. 50-day line already rising, which gives this a good look. Finishing off with Xtract, and here rising trend channel, rising 50 and 200-day lines, so RSI 50 rebound, so looking for 1.25 by the end of next month, while we're above the recent levels, the latest levels of the 50 and 200-day lines of 0.72. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.